Hey, what's up? It's Doug Cunnington here from Niche Site Project, and I'm going to do another behind the scenes video. So I'm going to tell you about a webinar and how I created the outline for the webinar. In my office right now, in front of the window, there's a nice big window, which I could sort of pan around and show you right here. And it's not bad. You know, you can see the mountains out there. I think through the blinds, I should have moved the blinds, but this is my little desk. This is where I work. Originally it was my wife's desk and office, but she got a job recently, so she's out at her own office at an actual building and stuff like that, and I'm in here. I probably would have picked a slightly different color. She often teases me that this looks like a ladies' room, a girl's room, because of the light green color, but it's pleasant and there's a great view of the mountains, which is awesome. So I'm going to flip the camera around here real quick and show you how I basically created the outline for a webinar on how I created Niche Site Project and just sort of the founding story of Niche Site Project. Okay, let's hang on a sec. Okay, so we're back. And in this case, you may remember from one of my other behind the scenes videos that I work on legal pads pretty often because, well, they're cheap and it's a good size, and it's a notebook, you could tear it out. And there's something about, just working on paper that I enjoy versus working on the machine on my laptop, which is sitting right there. So as we're looking here, I knew that I was going to do this webinar on founding Niche Site Project, so I kind of wanted to recall how everything went back in the day and then take it from there, filling in details and maybe even giving some examples. So I opened it up with be nice and show up on time, and then I was thinking back, like, why did I even want to start the site, and some of the things that went through it or went through my mind. So I'm here talking about starting a successful niche site, and then talking to my wife, I was like, oh, I'm going to start a blog. And then I thought, well, before I started a niche site, there was this whole process of finding smart passive income, creating a bad niche site around AdSense, I guess that's the smart passive income with Pat Flynn, the niche site duel, and then Spencer Hawes' niche site project, the original one back in 2013, I believe. And then I started an Amazon site and it did well. And that is where we showed up here. So I started here and then realized, well, there was some pretty interesting backstory to get into. Well, as we go through here, you see I'm creating different sections of the webinar, and I know I want it to last for about an hour or so, one for time management on my side, and then the other part is at some point people get bored and it's a lot of time to spend listening to me talk about myself. So I had different sections, and I just I'm just brainstorming, throwing stuff out there. And, I didn't know how much time it would take to present what I wrote out. But I did want to, go from start to finish and basically talk about present day stuff right now too. So I go back to the beginning and how I actually, reached out to people. And if you want to watch the full webinar, you can go back and watch it in my, I think it's like the live streamed playlist, but on the Niche Site Project YouTube channel, you could find this stuff and watch the whole webinar. So I just kind of go step by step, and one nice thing working on paper versus if I was working directly in the presentation app. So I use presentations on Google Docs is how I present. So if I was working directly in there, I would often get distracted. For some reason, it feels more permanent when you're working within the app, like directly on the finished product. But here, I realized I forgot this whole section right here, how I networked and reached out to people. And then I was like, oh, I'll just write it out here. And well, it turns out it's part of around step 7 or so on the previous page. And there's just, I know if I was working within the presentation app, I could simply write it out and then move the slides and move the content over. But for some reason, like this just seems more casual, and I'm, more likely to just get my ideas out. I can sort it out later. It's kind of like brainstorming, brainstorming on a whiteboard. Um, and as we go through, I think I only had 2 pages of the content, and it ended up being a presentation with, I don't know, like 30 or 40 slides. And, I write a lot of detail out here, but in the slides, it may just have, one word for certain areas or just a phrase. From my corporate days, I know that if you have a slide with a ton of information, it's pretty boring and you tend to read it off. So I just put like something to let you know what we're talking about on that slide, and it reminds me. In this process of writing all this stuff out, like it helps me remember it and talk about it later. So, and then when I got to, stuff that went bad and stuff that went well, I, didn't write the narrative. I just, wrote out a couple of the ideas that I wanted to cover. And I think probably each one of those became its own slide. So I mentioned it in another video. I just basically use these Pilot G2 pens right here. So nothing fancy, you can get these for pretty cheap. They're like less than $1 or about $1 a piece. And I got a pack of like different colored ones here. So this video, I may do 1 or 2 more, but like I said, and others, people wanted to see some of these behind the scenes and how I work and my workflow. And I draw pictures sometimes, so I think that even made it into the presentation. And if you want to see more, just let me know. They're kind of fun to do. It makes me reflect on the work that I'm doing, which can help me improve my workflow. So it's not a bad thing for me to look at how I'm working here. So anyway, thanks for watching. Again, I'm Doug Cunnington from Niche Site Project. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do subscribe. I appreciate the support. Thank you.